Okay, so first off, welcome to Resume 101. We are the Center for Career Development and Professional Engagement. I know it's a mouthful. Think of us as Career Services, or we have rebranded ourselves as Kane Careers. So if you are looking to follow us at any point in time, you can search Kane Careers and we should pop up on just about any and all of your social media feeds. So anyways, we're gonna go ahead and get started. All right. Okay, so first off, I was gonna do some introductions. These are the 3 career coaches that function out of our office. We actually just built in a new one today, so we'll get to that in just a second. Chris Wong, unfortunately, was not able to join us. He got pulled into a presentation last minute, so he is our engineering and natural sciences career coach. He has over 30 years of experience in the engineering field in a variety of different roles. He has some great experience and perspective on kind of what the different fields entail and what you can do with your different experiences. So if you are in the College of Engineering and Natural Sciences, he's a really, really great resource you guys have at your fingertips. Next up is myself. My name is Brooke Smart. I'm a double alum from TU. I have my undergrad in elementary education and I have my master's in math and science education. I was also a student athlete here at TU. I played softball while I was here, and then kind of have progressed through my career. I coached at TU for a little bit. I taught at a high school just outside of Tulsa for about 5 years, and it landed me in this role here where I'm helping students kind of pursue their dreams and help them put together a plan on how to get there. And so it has really been a journey. And so hopefully we're all here to give you some perspective on kind of what it looks like to develop throughout your career and continue to grow. And I'm gonna hand it over to Tees.
Hi, everyone. My name is Cassandra Crawford Sigler. My area of expertise is health sciences and pre-health professions. I worked in health professions for 20 years in a variety of fields, from medical technology to nutrition as a registered dietitian. I've been in higher ed now. This is my 8th year. Today, I just looked at the calendar and it dawned on me this is my 1-year anniversary at the University of Tulsa. And I have greatly enjoyed my time here. I wouldn't want to be at any other place. The part that I love about being in higher education is that I get to work with students and help students find their passion and their career goals. So that's why I do what I do. I take all the expertise from my previous jobs and help students get to where they want to go. So that's what I do. So if you're searching for a job, a career path in health sciences, or you want to go into pre-health professions, then please seek me out. I would love to help you find where you want to go.
All right, so an overview of kind of our topics today. First off, some housekeeping items. 1, this session is being recorded, so it will be available on our Kane Careers YouTube playlist on TU's YouTube channel. 2, you guys are in listen-only mode, so if you have any questions along the way or things you would like answered, feel free to put them in the Q&A box. We will try to answer them as we go. There are a couple of interactive pieces, so just be ready to type some answers in there. And then last but not least, we will have a Q&A session at the end, but again, we'll try to answer those questions as we go. So our topics today are really just going to hit on resume essentials and then how to build in special program experience, and then we'll obviously have some Q&A. So to hop right into things, answer in the Q&A, what is the average time spent looking at a resume? What do you guys think? Three minutes I got. What else? What else do you guys think? 5 minutes? Five minutes again. What else? 30 seconds? Two minutes? 10? I'm not sure if it's minutes or seconds. Okay. Okay, good. So, honest to goodness truth, the average time spent looking at a resume is, drum roll please, 10 seconds. Okay. So really what your resume is doing is providing an opportunity for an employer to see, do you pass the eye test? Are you someone that they would like to have another conversation with? So you have 10 seconds to catch their attention on whether it is an experience that you have or a skill set that you have that they want to know more about. So you have to make sure that things look good, you presented yourself very professionally, and also that you have something that's going to stand out to them that connects to what they're looking for. Okay. Okay, so some of the do's and don'ts, we kind of broke these down into some bullet points. So some of the do's for your resume: you are going to have a customized resume for each application that you're submitting, whether it's for an internship, excuse me, or a program. And obviously further down the road, if you're looking at jobs, we are going to customize them to specifically what that job is looking for. So one resume that you put in for an internship may look different than another just based on the skill set that they're looking for and what you're trying to market as your best experience. Second piece is you want to make sure to be specific. Okay, a lot of broad sweeping statements that maybe don't give them some clarity into what you're trying to explain in your experience, or maybe just kind of leave them guessing, doesn't necessarily catch their attention. You want to make sure that you have very pointed details in your resume. And so Cassandra's going to talk a little bit more about that later. The next piece is to show the employer what you can do for them. Remember that a resume is something that you are going to use to try to get their attention and think about getting them to think about what you can bring to the table for their company. You want to make sure you use the appropriate keywords. A lot of these pieces are going to come from the internships applications that you're looking at. There you're going to have some keywords in the job description, and you're going to use those words to make sure you hit them in your resume. Some companies now are using artificial intelligence to go through that first round of resumes to see what they can pick up. And so they're looking for those keywords to be cited within your resume. Of the skills that they're looking for, they want to make sure that you have a way to demonstrate that you've had some kind of experience with it. And then the last piece, you want to remain consistent in your writing and your formatting. I can tell you that templates look really, really pretty, but they can also be really, really difficult when you start editing and moving things around. So we always caution students, be careful and be leery of templates because they can sometimes be more of a headache than they are to get the look that you're looking for. So with that, I would say, you're always trying to be authentic. You want to make sure that you describe your roles in the best way possible, but it has to be true to you. Okay, so those are kind of the do's, a broad overview, and we're going to hit each section of your resume. Let's talk about the don'ts. So we don't want to include irrelevant or damaging information. I feel like this is a given, but sometimes students don't think about it. So let's say, for instance, if you worked at a job while you were in high school, or you had a role and maybe you got let go. Unless that's an experience that you really want to talk about, I wouldn't include it on your resume, okay? If an employer asks you, why were you only there for 2 months? You have to be prepared to answer those questions. And so these are things to kind of get your brain wrapped around, like, what are the things that I can really market? What are going to be the big selling points for me? If that's not one of them, it's not something you need to include. Don't forget to include up-to-date contact information. This is huge. If you put on an email on your resume that you don't ever check, you might as well pencil yourself out of that opportunity, because you're not going to know to go check that email, and then you're not going to be contacted. If you put your home phone number on there, if an employer calls, they're not going to get a hold of you because you're probably not home. You're probably at TU at school, so you should use your cell phone. Okay. We strongly discourage you from using an objective statement for 2 reasons. One, I feel like it is a broad sweeping statement that probably doesn't give you the most directed path of where you're trying to get to, and so it can be very generic. Remember, you only get 10 seconds. If they spend all 10 seconds reading your objective statement, they probably missed the best part of your resume. And also it takes up some space. And remember, as an undergrad student, you have 1 page to get their attention, not 1 page front and back, 1 page, 1 side, okay? And then last and not least, in being true and authentic to yourself, make sure that you're not using vague or overly flowery language. So you want to be consistent with the person that you are. You don't want to use these words that you've never used before, and then you go into the interview and then you can't speak that same topic, okay? So be consistent with what you do. There are still some good terms, and we're going to talk about this a little bit later too. All right. Okay, so let's talk about contact information. So originally, Chris was going to be joining us, so I was going to let him talk a little bit about contact information. So first off, what are some things in the sample contact information that you guys see there would be an issue with if you put this on your resume? And is there anything missing that you might think should go on there? Type your answers in the Q&A. Okay, good. So if you look at this, a couple of things that I would caution you of, you want to make sure that your email is the most professional thing you can put out there. And we joke with Chris, his name is Chris Wong, and he has this joke from when he was in school that they used to joke and say that he was going the Wong way. Anyways, so this was kind of we gave him an opportunity to make some light of this. Anyways, you want to make sure that you use a professional email. So for this instance, I would say your TU email is probably the best bet you have. It's okay if you forward your TU email to another email, but just know that you want to make sure it's something that you're going to see. Again, it's your name, it's consistent. I would encourage you to use something that is your name and something like that. Another one said inconsistent formatting, which is true. You want to make sure that you're consistent, whether it's your resume or your cover letter. You want to make sure that your header with your contact information is the same. Also, I don't know how many of you have a LinkedIn. If you don't, this would be a good thing to start thinking about, but you can also customize the end piece that takes them to your profile on LinkedIn. And so again, we used the Wong Way 2020 as a piece that you guys could tailor to it. What do you guys notice that's missing? Typically, if you were giving someone your contact information, what's the piece that's missing? Yes. Okay, good. Address, your cell phone number or your home phone number, right? So Chris used his work phone number, which is totally fine for us. That gets us no matter where we are. But I would encourage you to use your cell phone number. But yes, your address. There is a specific reason why we don't use an address on your resume. One, if you're applying for an opportunity that is not in the city that you are located in, it could potentially be a piece that filters you out of that search. And so we encourage students not to use that so that they don't get filtered out in those first 10 seconds. Two, it can also be divulging a little too much information. Like no employer really needs to know your mailing address if they have access to your email. I feel like we especially know this right now because of all the changes that we've gone through with COVID. We have learned to adjust to a very digital age where you can get in contact with someone through email pretty quickly and pretty easily. So those are the big pieces. You want to make sure that you have a phone number that gets a hold of you directly. You want to make sure you have a professional email. Your TU email should be great. And then if you are using LinkedIn, make sure that you have customized your profile page to have the ending that you want on it. And then do not include your address. So, all right. I am going to turn it over to Cassandra.
Thank you. So moving on now, we've got the beginning of the do's and the don'ts of our resume. We've talked about the very first top part of the resume. We know what information we need on the header. So we're kind of go through the sections of what should be on the resume and what we should put in each of those sections. Being that some of the information, we may not have right now, but what we should be looking for during the time that we're here at TU, and what would be relevant to put in those sections. So the very first part of the resume is going to be your education. So obviously you are here at the University of Tulsa. The section here, the most common mistake that we see on the resumes that we review is that students just put University of Tulsa. So that's the most common mistake that we correct in our office. You want to make sure that you put the University of Tulsa, as that is the correct name for our institution. You list your major and any minors that you might be pursuing, GPA, and you'll list an expected or anticipated graduation date. So my question to you, I just said GPA, is it required for you to list your GPA on your resume? What do you all think? Type your answer in the Q&A box. Okay. We have someone who's given and I don't think so, and you actually are correct. So the recommendation is, you are correct. You do not have to list your GPA. If you have a GPA that is a 3.0 or higher, we recommend that you list that, but again, you are not required to do so. Sometimes when you are searching for jobs, especially in Handshake, which we can talk about at another time, when you're pursuing for those jobs, the employers will ask for your actual GPA, but you are absolutely not required to list that on your resume. Brooke, you want to go to the next section? So another area that we're going to list on our resume is work experiences or internships. At this time, we want to make sure that these are relevant work experiences or internships. Sometimes we may not have these as incoming freshmen, but there's ways that we can spin any kind of work job that we've had and make that relevant to what you're applying for. If you are applying to an internship or experiential learning. So relevant leads, if you've got some kind of experience, you want to make that and target that qualification to that job that you're applying for. What you can do as a student, you want to highlight your experiences from the University of Tulsa, your leadership opportunities, things from athletics that you've participated in, your extracurricular activities. You want to be able to highlight the things that you are doing from your special programs, your honors activities, your honors work, your honors thesis, your global scholars activities that you're doing, things that you're doing in PLF and your presidential scholars. All of these experiences are things that can be highlighted on your resume and show, can show leadership and can show many different things that you can do and then target towards internships and jobs that you're applying for. When you are listing things on your resume, you want to make sure that you put them in what we call reverse chronological order. So we want to put what you're doing most relevant first, and then we're going to go back down in descending order. So obviously just being first coming in, what you're doing currently is going to be first, and then we're going to go backwards. And you want to do things, we want to describe them in actionable terms. So you want to describe your skills, saying how you did it actionably. You just don't want to say a list of tasks that you've completed. So I want to ask you guys to actually give me some examples of actionable words that you would use to describe what you've been doing or how you would describe it, actions that you've done maybe on a resume. So if you were to say, you know, that you did a Global Scholars project, how would you describe what you maybe did in that project? What would be an example of actionable verbs that you would use to describe that experience? You can type some of those in for me. Anybody have any good action verbs for a resume?
Advocated was one that got thrown out.
That's good.
That's a good one.
That's a very good one.
Volunteering. So if you are currently doing something, you would keep it in the present tense. So volunteering. If you did it in past tense, you volunteered. Mm-hmm.
Brooke, you want to give them a few more?
So you could say that you communicated, that you collaborated, that you, if you were doing something that you can measure, showing data always helps. So you demonstrated something. There's so many. We actually have a list that we can get you guys. That's just kind of a start of a place where you can kind of pull from and get started, and then you obviously can use a thesaurus tool and Word to help you build from there.
Right. And what Brooke said about if you actually have measurable outcomes, a lot of times in your research projects that you do, you actually have data that you're utilizing and you can demonstrate a measurable outcome, which is something fantastic for you to be able to show on your resume. So where you've made an improvement or where you actually saw an increase in something, that's something really to be able to showcase and highlight on a resume, whether you're applying for an internship or a job. That really helps you stand out. So we like to joke in our office a little bit. We're kind of one of those that's we like our memes. So it's kind of funny, but it's not. You know, where's your experience? 5 years of experience if you just graduated. The truth behind this is that at the University of Tulsa, we are able to help you get experience while you're still here through the things that you've accomplished on campus, through your internships, through your volunteering, and through experiential learning. And that's what our office is here for, and through your participation in your special programs. So you get a leg up while you're here at the University of Tulsa, so that when you go out and apply for that job, you're kind of not hit with that, well, you don't have the experience, because you do. So other things, skills and projects. You have so many things that you get the opportunity to participate while you're here. Again, like I just mentioned, just been here a year, and the things that I have been able to observe through students' resumes coming through the office, the opportunities that you have are amazing. The research projects that you have the opportunity to do, whether it's through the Turk research projects in the summer, or just being able to participate in research with our amazing faculty, and to just be able to approach them and say, you know, I'm really kind of interested in this. Do you have an opportunity for me to participate in your research? So any project that you do, you want to highlight that and make sure that it's relevant towards the job that you're applying for. If you happen to be proficient in any language, whether that's sign language or a foreign language, you want to make sure you highlight that and showcase that, especially if they're looking for that on the job that you're applying for. You want to list skills that are relevant for a job or an internship you're applying for. That's when you go back to the posting and see what they're looking for. Brooke was very good in mentioning that they use automatic screeners for resumes these days, and they're looking for key terms. This is one place where they will be looking for those key terms. So you want to make sure that you use those key terms that are listed in the application or the job posting itself and hit those in your skills section. Classes that have trained you for the skills that they're looking for. This is another place to highlight that you have the skills and knowledge for what they're seeking as well. Very important to be able to list those, especially when you're earlier on in your educational process. And then finally, love this one. We love our honors and awards. We love being noticed for all of the things, our hard work that we've done. So this is a section where you can highlight things that are you've been recognized for. So obviously you're in special programs. So this would be some place where you would put that information. If you're here on scholarship, you want to be able to showcase that information. Want to make sure that we put and notice that you do have only one page. So as you start adding things from your college experience, you want to make sure that you start dropping things off from your high school experiences. So if you've got honors and awards from high school, as you start adding things from college, you want to start dropping those honors and awards off, because again, you've only got one page, and we want to start highlighting the things that are relevant from your college experience. These are the things that are going to make you really stand out and make you be that candidate that they want to hire, whether again it's a job, experiential learning, or an internship. And the last thing that we really want to emphasize, why a resume is so very important and why we spend so much time on it, even though it's just one piece of paper. We mentioned that 10 seconds at the very beginning. That 10 seconds is what's going to get you through the door. A well-crafted resume is going to get you to that interview. So it's so important that it's crafted well. It has all that information that we talked about. It's going to be screened, and if it gets you through the door, then it's going to get you to the interview. And a great interview then will get you the job. So contact your career coach. We're here to help you through that resume building process, literally from the time you set foot on campus. We'll help you craft it all the way through the time you're here at TU and even after as you're an alumni. So that's what we're here to do. Now is the time for questions, but before we take any additional questions, I want to throw out that Brooke did mention we are on all social media platforms, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. You just type in @Kane Careers and you will find us. We put all of our events out there. We've got a great social media great social media coordinator who puts out amazing social media graphics for us on all of our events. So we do things pretty much weekly. So we would really love for you to follow us and see what we have coming up next. So I'm going to pause and ask if you've got any questions for us about resumes or how to contact your career coach or anything in between.
I went ahead and just put our contact information up there just in case you guys have any questions. If you are in the business school, your contact person is Leonelle Thompson. And then at some point we will be transitioning over to our office. We can talk about that a little bit. Okay, C's, what about references? Should you include any?
That is an excellent question. So references no longer go on your resume. That is something that is an old practice. So when you are applying for a job, you do want to have your references ready to go, but you want to have that on a separate page. So format it, the heading, just like you would your resume, and then put your references on that page and be ready to provide that. But you don't list your references on your resume any longer. So that's an excellent question. Thank you for asking that.
Okay, we've got a couple more. Can prospective students meet with a career coach for resume help?
Well, Brooke, I really don't know that I know the full answer.
I can say that I have worked with incoming freshmen that were not on campus yet, but were looking to apply for federal work study positions. And we are more than happy to help with that. I guess it just depends on where in terms of prospective students. Like if you are applying to TU, then I feel like that's kind of where you advocate with your high school counselor to help you with that process. But as far as if you are wanting help on your resume to try to land a work study position as you come into TU, absolutely, we are more than happy to help. I also would say that we probably won't turn anybody away. We'll find a way to get you helped out regardless. So
right, I would agree.
Okay. For the special programs, what are some details that they would like for us to include? I would say that the biggest thing is they want to know, what set you apart in that program? Why was it a big deal for you to be a part of it? And then also if there's any way for you to quantify it with numbers on whether it's impact you made or money raised or change that you invoked, any of that kind of stuff where you are making waves and creating movement because of that opportunity. Those are the things that you really want to highlight. And so for an employer, it could be a lot of different things, but I think a lot of what they're going to see is that you have the capability to communicate and to collaborate with others. It's going to show a lot of leadership potential and opportunities for you. So all of those things are the things that the employers are going to see out of that. And again, it is a lot about how you spin that experience as a growing opportunity for you. So again, everybody's perspective on each experience can be different. So I think you want to think about it not about the tasks that you completed, but about the skills that you built because of that experience. So, you start thinking about it in that realm, sometimes it makes it a little bit easier to write.
Right. What it's, also going a little further, what were you afforded by that opportunity, and what did you actually get to do? And then what was the outcome? So again, think about outcomes, or if there wasn't a specific outcome, what did you learn from that experience? So that's another way that you can showcase that, because being a part of a special program, that's not something that everybody gets the opportunity to do. So just being a part of it alone is going to set you apart. So then being able to explain that and showcase that to a potential employer, that's how you want to spend that.
Okay, this next one says, are there any major differences between a resume being used to apply for a job and a resume being used to apply for an academic program? Can I use the same one?
So I can answer that one because I actually help a lot of students apply for an academic program, if we're talking like about graduate schools. Yes, there is a little bit of a difference because when you're talking about applying for a job, you're looking at actually a job posting. And so you're wanting to target that resume specifically towards that job posting. So we're talking about key terms, key skills that we're wanting to highlight for that job. Whereas when you're applying for an academic program, we're wanting to look at that academic program and we're wanting to highlight the things that you have learned and what makes you a good fit for that academic program. So the things that we would highlight for an academic program application is going to be a little bit different than applying for a job. So, just for example, a research project may not be relevant for a job application. So there are going to be things that we would put on one resume that we may not put on the other. And I do help students just, especially being in pre-health professions, most of my students go on to graduate programs. So that's where I help students with their resumes who are heading on to those graduate study programs.
Good. And to kind of piggyback onto that, it says, I want to apply for the honors program at the University of Tulsa. Are there any resume tips you have for that?
Well, first and foremost, my tips on the resume for that, for the honors program is you want to read and see about the program. It's just like applying for the job. You want to read and see about the program itself, whether you're applying to the honors program, whether you're applying to Global Scholars, PLF, or the Presidential Scholars, and see what they're looking for in a student. And so that's the first thing that I tell you, because it's the same principle. And then you want to showcase and highlight what you feel that you are bringing to the table that meets those qualifications for an honors student at the University of Tulsa. That's the best answer that I can give you, at this point in time, without specifically looking at, the honors program application. But again, that's something that I'd be happy to visit with you off this program. But that's what I would say is, highlighting what you feel you bring to the table that meets what it says for an honors student application. Brooke, do you have anything to tag on to that?
I would say that's the biggest piece, is just to be aware of what that program is targeting as far as the students they're trying to pull in, and be specific. It's basically you're writing a resume that's targeted to that specific role. It may not be a job or an internship there, something like that, but it is still an experiential learning component that you can kind of incorporate in. So, take notice of what they're trying to achieve and then go from there. Okay, probably last question, just for sake of everyone's time. Can you recommend any good online sources to help me when working on my resume? You're looking at them. We are right here for you, and we are free.
Yes.
I would say the biggest thing for resumes is, it doesn't have to be anything fancy. All of your career coaches have kind of a framework for you to use. It's not a template. You can start with a Word document and just start going. And it still has capabilities for you to personalize it and make it stand out and make it your own, but also with the ability to avoid the headache of trying to battle a template when you need to go back and make adjustments. So reach out to your career coaches. Our contact information is up here. If you have any questions, you can also email canecareers@utulsa.edu, and that'll get to whoever you need to get to. Okay, last but not least, before we jump out of this, we have a short little survey. So if you guys hold your phone up to the QR code, it should pop up a link. There's a short 2 to 3 question survey. It really helps us out if there's anything that you guys would like to know more about. It gives us an opportunity to kind of plan those accordingly for our upcoming events. So again, if you stay tuned to our social media, all of our upcoming events are on there. A lot of things get answered on there. We try to post tips and tricks as far as, things to look out for. If you need help with headshots, we posted stuff on how to take them at home, all of that kind of stuff. And again, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. That's what our office is here for. So if you have questions or you need help, we are a free tool that you have access to. We can meet like this on Zoom. We can do a phone call, any of that. We'll get you hooked up.
And all of our previous presentations are available on our website, canecareers.com. If you go to the events page, the workshop and events page, all of our previous presentations, again, that's another free resource right there for you. So thank you very much for your time today. We really appreciate you, and we appreciate your feedback.